Welcome everybody to the pilot of Front Row and Center, a digital series presented by Colorado Music Hall of Fame in celebration of our 10th anniversary. My name is Karen Radman, and I'm the Executive Director of the Hall of Fame, and I am pleased that so many of you are joining us this evening. Since 2011, Colorado Music Hall of Fame has inducted over 40 musicians, industry professionals, and organizations who have made a mark on Colorado's music history. One of these legends is Lannie Garrett, our guest tonight, who is joined by our host, Patricia Calhoun. During the session, please type any questions you have for Lannie in the chat box, and we will reserve time at the end to pose questions from participants. I'll let Patty introduce Lannie, but first I'd like to introduce Patty to you. Patricia Calhoun founded Westword, Denver's free digital and print newspaper, in 1977, and has been writing and editing articles about Colorado's music scene and lots of other news ever since. Colorado Music Hall of Fame is very proud to have Patty as a board member and as the host of this Women's History Month inaugural session of Front Row and Center. Please pour yourself a libation and welcome Patricia Calhoun.
Thanks so much, Karen. Thanks so much, Karen. I was thrilled to be able to suggest Lannie for this introductory introduction to our new Front Row and Center session. She is my neighbor, but I haven't seen her in a year because of the pandemic. She was already a legend when we started Westword. We couldn't, we were typing music listings. We're like, who is this Lannie Garrett? She's everywhere. She's doing everything. I actually wrote a story with Lannie in it that neither of us really remember, probably back in 1982, because I needed to make money for a plane ticket to fly to Chicago for Christmas. So I wrote it for a publication other than Westword. It was about lounge singers, Lannie. I don't know if you remember it, but it's impossible to imagine Denver's music scene without you in it. You are everyone's favorite singer, you're everyone's favorite cultural landmark, and we are thrilled to have you here. So, welcome. And please, everyone, understand, we are going to be interrupting each other nonstop, and you are welcome to interrupt us by sending a question, and if it's apropos at the time, I'll ask Lannie. But first, I'm going to ask Lannie, like so many others, like me, you came here from elsewhere. How did you wind up in Denver?
I wound up in Denver because I had just gotten fired from my job at the Thirsty Whale restaurant as a lunch waitress in, I think it was Melrose Park, Illinois. My hippie boyfriend at the time was fired from his job on the Northwestern Railroad. And so we jumped into his Econoline van and headed west. One of our stops was in Colorado, in Denver, and I had never seen anything like it. We went up to Boulder, and I didn't even know people lived like that. So we went out to California, and on the way back, I basically told him to drop me off, and I found a little apartment, and I got a U-Haul, and I moved back here and became a waitress many, many times over.
Well, so I'm sure you were an excellent waitress, but when did you become a singer here?
Well, I was a waitress. I was a horrible waitress. I used to put my fingers in all the glasses and then put them on the table. And it wasn't until 20 years later that I realized how horrible that was. But I was a waitress in Larimer Square. I was a waitress at the loading dock. And one night at the loading dock, I always wanted to be a singer. And one night at the loading dock, I had a few glasses of wine and I got up and sang, oh my man, I love him so. And some people from Windsor Gardens saw me and hired me to sing for the what was then elderly to me, and now it's my age. And I think I made $20 or something. That was my first singing job. So and then I lied to you. Of course, you know Ron Henry, and the people that don't. Ron Henry was an incredible entertainer, singer, landmark icon of Denver. And I went up to him one night and I lied to him and told him I was a singer. And he hired me to be a backup singer, which I had never done before. So, and then then I was a singer from then on.
So besides Windsor Gardens, where was your first big Denver show?
My first big Denver show was singing as a backup singer with Ron Henry, and he named the group Pride because he was a Leo, and Pride is a pride of lions, and a black man, a proud black man, and two incredible soul singers, Cheryl Barnes and Carolyn Noble, both incredible black singers, and me, the white girl in the middle. And our first job was, I think it was at the Warehouse restaurant and nightclub, my very first gig, and I believe it was opening for the Four Tops. So
Wow.
that was my first gig. Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, you were talking about pride, a different kind of pride. Talk about what the gay community meant to your career when they became so interested in your singing. And let's remember, 77, when I moved here, disco, John Denver, lounge singing, it was maybe not the perfect music time.
Well, what was great about it was you have to learn how to be on stage. And I knew it was in me to be some sort of an entertainer, but the gay community really pulled it out of me. So in the 70s is when gay people were really coming out of the closet. It was after Stonewall riots and all that was happening, and Bette Midler was singing in the bathhouses. And so the gay audience really encouraged me and brought me out of my shyness. And I started doing more comedy and being less inhibited and self-conscious on stage. And I really owe them that. I knew it was in there, but I needed some encouragement to bring it out. And that was what the gay community did for me. So ever grateful.
What were some of the clubs back then? And I know you performed in Larimer Square in the very early days of Larimer Square.
I performed in Larimer Square where you could actually drive down there and park easily. That's how long ago it was. But it was amazing because coming from Chicago, where there's nightclubs everywhere, and I was too intimidated to try to sing in Chicago, came out here, and Patty, there were nightclubs. There was the BBC, there was Green Streets, there was Emerson Street East, there was the Broadway, there were gay cabarets and stuff. So there were nightclubs everywhere when I first got here. And in Glendale at the Warehouse was, I worked with Ron Henry and Pride at the Warehouse, and we opened shows for Ray Charles, Tina Turner, the Four Tops, Mel Torme. I mean, that's what was happening in Denver at the time when I first got here. So I was really, really lucky. My timing was really good.
There were so many venues I remember. And Broadway, the Broadway, I think was one of the hot ones. Unbelievable what was going on in Glendale. Now, the AAA audition, I'm not sure I know what that was. So tell us about that.
Well, the AAA band they're legendary. And I used to follow them around when I was a waitress, and I would go see them wherever they were. And I just loved them. And I got to be friends with Larry Ambrose, who of course, you know, Larry, I adore him. And he was kind of their manager at the time. We got to be friends. And he came to pick me up one day. We were going somewhere, and he came to pick me up. And at the time I was singing to a Roberta Flack album, and he heard me through the door. And he said, you could sing. And I said, I've always wanted to be a singer. What do I do? He said, why don't you come to a rehearsal with the AAA band? Oh God, I love the AAA band. I'd love to do that. So I went to the rehearsal. Trixie Merkin was on bass. She's kind of infamous. If you want to Google Trixie Merkin people, you will find out some incredible things. And I didn't know any songs. I didn't know my key. And I think I tried to sing Honky Tonk Woman. And the guitar player at the time, his name will not be mentioned, basically threw his guitar on the ground and screamed at me, why are you wasting our time? When have you ever sung before? And I said, well, only to records. But I mean, he just said, don't waste our time. How dare you? And I was in a fetal position, and a drummer by the name of Billy Hoke came out and talked to me, and he said, just keep doing it. Just keep trying. Don't let him tear you down. And I will be ever grateful for that, because I didn't give up. So that was my first audition, so to speak. So I encourage all the other people who want to do something not to give up on the first time. So it worked out pretty well.
Well, I'm sure this is going to come up more through the time, but one of our people who you know is asking, he wants more embarrassing secret stories. Do you have one you'd want to share right now, or should we come back to it?
Oh, I can probably think of a few embarrassing one. probably the most embarrassing, and I haven't shared this with a lot of people because it's so embarrassing, but I did 7 gay RSVP cruises where the whole ship is mostly gay men. And I did Patsy Decline, my comedy character, country character, and they were very successful. And so they asked me back for my 8th trip. And Lorna Luft, Judy Garland's daughter, was also performing. Leslie Jordan, who of course people know from Will and Grace, just some incredible performers. And I did I was scheduled the very last night of the cruise, which is a nightmare. It was a 700 seat theater. There were about 60 people in the audience, spread out everywhere. The last night of the cruise is when everyone's packing and exhausted and hungover. And I started doing my show, and I told the joke. It goes, my husband was a rodeo clown, and he had me over a barrel from time to time. Well, there was a row of about 7 deaf people, and the sign language person signed, had me over a barrel from time to time. And they got up and walked out. And went, so then there was like, 40 people in the audience in a 700 seat theater. So when you get 7 deaf people walking out of your show right in front of you, yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. So
of course, now
the many, I should write a book.
You should. 60 people in an audience sounds pretty good right now in a venue of 700.
Like nothing. And of course, yeah, I'm a very audience touchy person, and there was nobody there. It was terrible.
Okay,
So,
could you say that is definitely the worst gig you've ever had?
that was one of the worst. I've had many worst ones. One, I was opening a show for, we'll mention his name later, a big star, and I was opening the show, and I was in the middle of a ballad, and I was trying to impress the main act, and so I was singing this ballad and giving it all I had, and someone in the front row pulled on my skirt and shouted, "Excuse me, can you ask the waitress to bring us a fork?" So that kind of threw that off. But there's many of those. So.
And we will be able to get to some of those. So when did you start taking your destiny more in your hands and coming up with characters like Patsy Decline and finding your own stages? You really got good early in marketing, I think, and promoting yourself, because you could control things better that way.
Well, I always sort of had a vision that I loved the show business aspect of singing, not just singing. And I knew I wasn't the greatest singer. I'm a good singer, but I mean, if you know Cheryl Renee and some of the other singers in town, I knew I wasn't the greatest singer, but I loved being a performer. So I liked the whole thing with packaging costumes and packaging comedy and stuff. And I invented Patsy Decline with a friend, Mark Olmstead. And that's when I had the nightclub, Ruby Nightclub, and where I had my own stage and I could kind of do whatever I wanted. And that's when I really started branching out and creating different shows. So, yeah.
Tell us more about Ruby, because that was a great place in Denver.
I miss that club. I opened Ruby Nightclub with the fabulous Tommy Wise. And for those people who don't know what it looked like, it had leopard carpeting and zebra carpeting and Gustav Klimt murals, and it was only about 100 seats. It was very small and intimate, but very, very elaborate and over the top. And when Tommy and I first walked in, I said, "Oh my God, this looks like Eartha Kitt should play here." And I called her and tracked her down, and her manager, and Eartha Kitt actually played our little 100-seat club in about 1990 at Ruby Nightclub on 17th Avenue. So we had amazing acts there, Tiny Tim and the Del Rubio triplets and John Hammond and, oh my God, Dan Hicks, and in this little club. It was amazing.
How long did you have that club?
We had it not just about a year, maybe a little over a year. We were just getting rolling, and a long story, we won't go into that, but the owner of the venue, the club, no, the space, took it back. Yeah.
And we can talk about him offline if anyone wants to know.
Yeah.
I can give you the details.
Yeah.
So you have made a great career in Denver, but at one point you went to LA. What happened there?
Well, I was taking, in the 80s, Denver was, there were no venues. It was really hard to find a venue to sing at. So I started taking some acting classes, and uh, they would bring in like casting agents from LA and stuff for like seminars and stuff. And I signed up for one. Lynn Stallmaster, who is a great casting director, who cast Harold and Maude and Deliverance, Coming Home, The Rose, I mean, that caliber stuff, really encouraged me. So I got this hair up my butt and I moved out to Los Angeles. And I was so naive. It was just ridiculous. I had no business. I had not studied theater like so many talented people. And I got out there and I tracked down this manager who was a well-known manager, and I showed him my little tapes and stuff like that. And he said, you know what, I'll take you on, but you are too homely to be pretty, and you're too pretty to be funny. So you need to get a nose job and a boob job. And I swear to God, at the time, if I'd had the money, I probably would have done anything he said. But thank God. But I mean, I said, I just want to be funny. That's what I like to do. I want to be a comedy actress. And he said, you're too pretty to be funny and way too homely to be pretty. So I don't know what I'm going to do with you unless you get plastic surgery. So that was my LA experience, pretty much down the line. Yeah.
Now, but well, you've thrown out a few names, but was your blind date with Larry David an LA experience, or was that somewhere else?
No, my blind date with Larry David was, I can't remember exactly the year, but it was in the mid 80s, I'd say. And Larry David was a struggling comedy writer, and he was friends with my sister's boyfriend in New York City. And my sister's boyfriend fixed up a double date with my sister and Steve, her boyfriend, and Larry David. And we had dinner, and we went to a club where I got up and sang. And then he took us to Caroline's Comedy Club, where after the stand-up comedians performed, Larry had written skits for this improv group, and they were hilarious. And later, those same little skits became Seinfeld episodes. And Larry David told me, he said, what are you trying to do? And I said, well, I would love to have a really funny, great, Bette Midler-esque cabaret act, something. And he said, I can write that for you for $1,000. And Patty, I didn't have $1,000. And Larry David is now the highest paid comedy writer the world has ever known. So that's another one of my showbiz stories.
Okay, since you're telling showbiz stories, do you want to tell your biggest untold showbiz story, or should we move on?
I think maybe we should move on from that.
Okay.
If they want to write me, I can tell them. Perhaps we'll wait with that one.
Let's just say you've seen some seedy sides of showbiz.
Let's just say we won't mention Bill Cosby's name. How's that? There we go.
I think that's good. We'll move on from that, but people can email us, or maybe in the next installment.
Yes.
So let's talk about since you're here in Denver, and we're so lucky to have you, and this is your home, this is where you perform. Who do you like to see in Denver, and what upcoming stars have you been watching, if you can watch them?
Well, Denver has so much talent. Cheryl Renee is an incredible singer. I just love and adore her. Renee Marie is a singer. They are not the same person. That's a whole nother story. Let's see, who else do I love? I mean, there's so many people in this town that I just love. Nick Sugar is back directing again at Littleton Town Hall. I guess they just did Good Man Charlie Brown. He's just incredible. There's so many good. Erica Brown, oh my God. I mean, I've gone online and watched a lot of these people. My friend Janine Gastineau. Yeah, it's hard to watch people. I like the live performance, so I do have to say I really like being in the club and the social aspect of watching a live performance. So, but I've seen every single thing on Netflix, every single thing.
What was the last live performance you saw? Do you remember?
Oh God. Yes, my very last, it was March 12th. And I went to Cherry Creek to see my friend Ron, happy hour, Ron Ivory and Linda Stiles sing in a little lounge there. And then I stopped at the Irish Snug and I saw my friends for the Gypsy Swing Review. And that was wonderful. And we hugged and we, did all the wonderful stuff. And then the next day, my husband and I clamped down and went into quarantine. So,
that's one of the things you love about Denver, and you hope as we emerge from the pandemic will happen again, just the ease of going out to see up and coming talent or old friends in
absolutely.
easy venues, and more of them were coming. And now big venues that are great, small venues, and we'll just hope they make it through this to the other side.
As soon as if everything's, everything is safe, I just want to go out and lick everything and everyone, just lick flagpoles. I don't care. I just want to be like tactile again.
Don't we all? All right. Remember, if you have questions for Lannie, not about Bill Cosby, but anything else, do start typing them in. We'll pull them up as we go along, and then we'll just keep asking her questions now. So Lannie, 2016, you are inducted into the Colorado Music Hall of Fame. What was that like? And it was a big year for you. Let me point out, you also you were put in the Visitor Hall of Fame, the Tourism Hall of Fame for Visit Denver. Very different organizations. So just talk about your big fame year.
Well, it meant the world to me. I know I got the call, Chuck Morris, big promoter in Denver, called and let me know that I was going to be in the Colorado Music Hall of Fame. And I basically told my husband, if you hang around long enough, that's kind of how I felt, but it was a great honor. I was inducted with people like Glenn Miller, and I was the one living person that was inducted that year, but it was on April 16th, 2016, and there was a huge blizzard. So I was very, very concerned that no one would be at my induction, but unlike my gay cruise, we actually did have a pretty good audience, and it was really fun. And it's just a great honor. It's a great honor to me, from someone who only dreamed of being a singer and never got to do it until I was in my 20s. It kind of blew my mind. So. Means the world.
And then to Visit Denver contrast, instead of being in the Glenn Miller Ballroom, you were in, we can't remember, some hotel ballroom with a lot of people in suits and ties, but to be celebrated, as a landmark that would draw tourists to town and visitors was great. You didn't sing there.
I felt like a grown-up for that one. That was a little different. The Music Hall of Fame was kind of a different feeling, but the Tourism Hall of Fame, I kind of felt like a grown-up for that one. So that was a whole different thing for me. I didn't graduate from high school, so getting that was like such a what? Yeah. So
I know you performed with the Symphony. What was that like?
Well, I performed with the Symphony. I think it was 3 times, and I was terrified. I don't read music. I was in front of these amazing trained musicians, and I'll tell you what my biggest memory of it was that the fabulous Charlie Purnell. No, that's Purnell. Oh my God,
Charlie Burrell.
God, I was thinking
also in the Colorado Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, incredible! What is he? 100 years old now.
He turned 100 this year.
Mm-hmm. Charlie Burrell came up to me at rehearsal. He knew how scared I was when we were rehearsing with the Symphony, and he came up to me. He was one of the first Black classical musicians, if not the first, to play with a symphony orchestra. He's kind of he's legendary. Anyway, he came up to me on his own and just said, "Look, this is your show. Don't be scared. They hired you for a reason," and just gave me a pep talk. And he's meant the world to me ever since. He's just the greatest. Charlie Burrell, the best.
And was that at Betcher? Were you in the round?
I was at Betcher Hall, and one of the coolest things is I've just been going back over career and pulling out newspaper articles and stuff that I have never looked at for all these years of decades of my career. And I found an advertisement for the Symphony show that I did. It's like 1980, let's just make up a number 4, something like that. and it's a big, remember newspapers? I'm sure you do, Patty Calhoun.
Only
and-
with pot ads.
And it was a big page advertisement, and it had Henry Mancini, Sarah Vaughan, Victor Borga, what was a country, Dottie West, and Lannie Garrett. So that might be framed, and that might have to be framed. That just blew my mind when I saw it. I didn't even realize that when it was happening. It just, I don't know. Looking back, I seem to register more than when I was actually doing it.
Okay, we have an inside question, which is, when were you more scared, opening for Ray Charles or being 10 feet from a lion from South Africa?
Oh my God, I know who asked that question. I was more scared with the lion. I was so excited I was invited to, my big band and I at Fiddler's Green, invited to open a show for Ray Charles, and he's my musical idol. And I just was in a fugue state the whole time. I was on another planet, and that was one of the most fun concerts I have ever done, was that concert. And I got to rub my butt all down the side of Ray Charles Busendorfer, is that how you pronounce it? Piano, just
I don't know, whatever a Busendorfer is.
Stage, this gazillion-dollar piano, but I took my butt and I just rubbed it along the piano, and then I waved bye to everybody, and it was the best, Ray Charles.
And the lion, we don't really, lion, you did not rub your butt on the lion.
I was so scared of this stupid lion. We were on a safari thing, and I was the only one in the Jeep, like going, oh my God, I'm such a Chicago girl. It's just terrible.
So when you were talking about Fiddler's Green, Betcher, what were your favorite venues to perform in, and which ones still exist when people can go out and see shows again?
My favorite venue, well, Ruby was one of my favorite venues because we kind of created it. And I kind of created the stage the way I wanted, and had lights and a spotlight, and that's the kind of performer I am. And then Lannie's Clock Tower Cabaret, I had the stage the way I wanted, and I had lights the way I wanted, and so it gives you the control. I used to love playing the Mercury Cafe back in the day. I love Maryland at the Mercury, and thank God it's still open and it's still going. And that's where when this is all over, that's where we should all meet, at the Mercury Cafe. I think that's I just thought of that. We should do that.
We should save the Mercury Cafe. You know, it's for sale. She's put it up for sale, but she wants owners who will continue the tradition.
I heard that she did sell it. And she got an owner that's going to continue. Is maybe wrong, but let's
cross fingers.
I'm over talking. I'm talking over you, and I'm not supposed to do that, but it's really hard to. Anyway,
I know, because sorry, we can see each other. You can't see both of us at the same time. So let's go to the other venues, though. What things do you consider? And it doesn't have to be a music venue, but we were just talking about Racine's. There are people who are treasures in Denver, and you are one. There are places that are treasures, like the Mercury Cafe with Marilyn, Racine's, which we've lost. What are some of the other things when you emerge from your house that you are desperate to go to?
I will be going to Dazzle Nightclub because I have so many friends that play there, and the fact that they have kept it going through all this, and they opened a food pantry for musicians and actors. I will be going there. Just the community that they have done is just amazing to me. I love Spontino's, are my friends, great restaurant in the Highlands. I love Duo, again, great friends, and I love that restaurant. I just can't wait to go to a restaurant. But those will be my first two that I'll probably frequent. Racine's would have been the first one. But yeah. But Dazzle, I'll go to Dazzle. Littleton Town Hall, I'll go there. I want to, Boulder Dinner Theater up there. I want to take my godchild. We love to go to the Boulder Dinner Theater, and they had to close down for this. And Cheryl Renee was going to be starring in Ragtime, and I had tickets. And so I want to go back there too when this all is over.
I know all the shows we missed. I missed a Patsy Decline at the Clock Tower once when my pipe burst in my house and it flooded with about 2 feet of water. So that was the last time I think I was supposed to go see Patsy Decline.
I remember that, and I had really good frickin' seats for you too for that one.
They were the deaf people seats that I could have walked out on. So let's see, we have another question. What will Patsy be making a comeback?
You know, I have been semi-retired. I did my last 2 shows at Littleton Town Hall, and my last show was in 2018. And then my last kind of volunteer show that I did was at the Oriental for a fundraiser for Dolly Day, for Dolly Parton's kids books thing. And I did that for my friends Fanny. Fanny's out there. I know she's out there, and Linda. And that was my last public performance. I was Patsy Decline, but I'm kind of missing it. I mean, can you hear this? No.
Is that applause?
It was kind of a Showbiz introduction, but didn't play well over. But I'm kind of missing it. So I think I might have to bring Patsy back for one last go around. I just might have to. I'm kind of missing performing.
Well, we miss you performing. We miss a lot of things over the last year, but for sure we missed you performing even before the pandemic came. Maybe we can have you be at the new National Western Complex if it ever opens to kick it off.
Oh my God, that would be great.
Wouldn't that be?
I would do that. I would do that.
It's
Maybe I'll do a show at the Merc or something. I'll do a show at the Mercury Cafe and we'll have a big reunion or something, but I kind of missing it. Yeah.
Or maybe both. Now here's another person who you will be able to guess this. He wants to know your best audience. And there's a hint about Colorado Springs and some county commissioners. Could that have been your best audience? Do you remember? You were awesome. Oh.
I'm trying to think of what I have the worst memory, so don't be offended if I don't exactly remember. I give more clues, county commissioners.
Okay, we'll come back to that because we've got an embarrassing question first, which is someone wants to know how you and your husband Dan met.
Oh, okay. I first saw Dan. We were both on the board of Project Angel Heart, and he was the head of it, whatever the guy. And I thought he was so cute and nice, and he was married, so it never crossed my mind, but I kept thinking, why can't I meet somebody like that? I had never been married. I had fabulous boyfriends, a great time. I wasn't complaining. I was never hot to get married or anything like that, but he's cute and he's nice. And then when their marriage broke up, but they're still friends. In 2006, I opened my nightclub, and Dan came in, and then he offered to give me a pep talk about starting a business, because he started 5280 magazine. And so I went in for a meeting, and I think he texted me or emailed me or something like that and asked me to dinner. So that was kind of it. I was yeah, and I got married for the first time to Dan Brogan. Yeah, it worked out well. He's the best. I'm so in love.
Good thing you've been together for a year in that house.
This has really proved it. This is
10 years ago, right? It was just 10 years ago.
It'll be 10 years. It'll be 10 years in September, which he's the best thing that ever happened to me. He's just the best.
So we can start sending the presents to you now, the 10-year anniversary presents.
Well, I was thinking it would be fun to have a renew our vows at the Mercury Cafe. So anyway, I'll keep you posted.
I think we can all get behind that. We need to get Marilyn on here. In fact, she would be a good person to be on. Think about it. Who are the legends? You may not be completely familiar with who's in the Colorado Music Hall of Fame the way Karen is right now, but when you think about legends who've really made the scene, and women, because it's Colorado Women's Month, Marilyn McGinnity from the Mercury, who I think has been part of the scene as long as you have.
She was part of the scene before, and she was always so giving to me. I used to do shows at the Mercury Cafe, and Roseanne Barr would open for me because Roseanne couldn't get a stage as much as she wanted, and I thought she was fabulous. But Marilyn and the other people in the Hall of Fame, I'll tell you who is one of my all-time idols musically is Freddie Gowdy from the Freddie Henchy Band. I used to go see those guys and dream about being a performer, and they really inspired me because they always put on a show. And they used to do acrobats on the stage. So when I started singing, I would often close my show by standing on my head. And that was my tribute to the Freddie Henchy Band. But the last gig Freddie Henchy played, Henchy had already passed away, but the last gig the band and Freddie played was at my wedding 10 years ago. So I love him. Chris Daniels, of course, incredible. Charles Burrell, the best. So many people, so many wonderful people. Earth, Wind and Fire, oh my God, just so many people in this town. It's incredible.
Well, it's interesting because the Colorado Music Hall of Fame is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, and you're just catching up on all the people who are great, who need to be inducted as quickly as they can be, because new greats are coming along.
Well, I'm sure, there's, I shouldn't mention anybody's name because I'm sure they're in the mix, but there's a whole bunch of fabulous singers and musicians in this town that should be inducted and will be, I'm sure. I had so much fun. Was it last year that Freddie Gowdy was inducted? I think it was, and it was at the new
the Mission Ballroom.
Oh my God, that was such an incredible concert. It was wonderful. So yeah, so oh, look at my lighting is going bad. I'm ready for
Sorry, we did not have professional stage crews in our own homes here, or in the case of me, my mother's home in Tucson.
The sun is coming through my Venetian blinds. There. Look, I've got the Barbra Streisand lighting. There we go. Now you can't see any wrinkles.
Perfect. So as long as you brought up Barbra Streisand, anyone else that you met, famous people you've sung with that you loved, that you want to talk about who aren't Bill Cosby?
Oh, it's incredible. The people that I've met through my career. So I'll just name drop a bunch, but I smoked pot with Ramsey Lewis. We got to be friends. I got to be really good friends with the man who wrote the most beautiful song ever, Someday We'll All Be Free, that was at the end of Malcolm X, sung by Aretha Franklin. Oh my God, who else? David Steinberg back in the day. I got to meet B.B. King. It's the Del Rubio triplets. I mean, come on. The Del Rubio triplets from Pee Wee's Playhouse. I had dinner at Berardi's with Tiny Tim, and I went to the drugstore and bought Depends with him, for him, not me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been amazing when I look back, and again, I'm more present now looking back and going, oh my God, than I was then. I was just, I don't know. It wasn't like I was paying as much attention as I should have been paying attention, but I've met some great people. I did a show with Bob Hope. That's how, a lot of you young people probably don't even know who that is, but that was kind of fun. So anyway.
Well, there's some questions coming in, and Karen, if I miss some, feel free to jump in too. But we have, David is remembering your show with Joe Piscopo.
Oh, Joe was he was so good. He was such a great entertainer. And I think that's Joe Contardo. Is that Joe? Anyway, he put on such a great show. He sang, he played the drums, he played the saxophone, and he did that at Lannie's Clock Tower. And it was awesome. Yeah, we didn't know what to expect, and it was awesome. Yeah. And I sang Fly Me to the Moon with Joe Piscopo.
Who have you sung with? Who was the most fun to do a duet with?
Oh, wow. Who would be the most fun that I've ever sung a duet with?
Or the most frightening?
I sang a duet with Freddie Gowdy a little bit at my wedding. He's just one of my favorite. Tommy Malone sang on my CD. We sang that, and he's an incredible soul singer from the Subdudes. That was really fun. Chris Daniels. I'm not a great duet singer because I never learned to harmonize. And most singers I know how to harmonize. So it was always kind of a setback for me that I didn't know how to do that. I was so used to being a lead singer, and I know nothing about music. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I always came from the performance part of being a musician. So I was never asked to sing along with people very much because I couldn't harmonize. So.
Did you happen to be at the Ike and Tina Turner review concert at the Warehouse in the 70s? We've someone remembering that.
We opened that show.
Oh, you opened that show. Do you remember him and the road manager, let's see, inviting pretty girls back to his hotel room?
Oh, I don't want to say innocent back then, but I was innocent of that, but I wasn't surprised. Tina Turner, though, made me was one of the people that I saw live and up close, where she was so confident in her body that I kind of filed that in the back of my head. And I said, if you feel like dancing on stage, dance on stage. And she was one of the people that kind of gave me permission to do that. But I'm not surprised about Ike at all.
So what have been the big evolutions when you got out? You said you were shy. Some people don't believe you were shy, but once you got out on stage and you really felt like you knew what you were doing and you had permission to dance on stage if you wanted to really belt it out. How long did it take you to feel comfortable?
I was really lucky because when I started, I was, I was the white girl in the middle of these two great singers and Ron, who was a great entertainer. So I kind of got to have my sea legs on stage without having to be really responsible for anything and watch these people. And then, like I said, we were opening shows for these amazing entertainers, Tina Turner and Ray Charles and Waylon and Madam and Mel Torme and Donny Hathaway and stuff. So I got to be on stage and go to this school that was just incredible. So again, when I first started singing and was with my own band and can pick out my own songs, I would again say that the gay community really gave me permission, and that's when I really started to break out of my shell. I knew what I wanted to do, and I felt in my heart that I could do it. I loved people like Judy Garland and Bette Midler, people who are really entertainers and really gave their all on stage. That's who I wanted to be, but the gay community really gave me permission to open up and do that.
So besides not finding $1,000 for Larry David to write that script, what are your big regrets? Where do you feel like you might have missed it?
I wish that, it worked out really well for me, so I don't want to complain or anything, but it would have been nice to have learned more about music so I could talk to musicians and feel more confident, because I always worked with great musicians, and they always came from a more technical point of view, and I had to try and explain my ideas then we could do this and and so I always felt a little insecure about that. I finally got to the point where I was working with musicians who trusted me enough that they listened to my ideas more, but it took a long time for me to have confidence about that. I just did what I wanted to do anyway. So, but learning how to speak the language would have been a great help to me.
So if you were going to give advice to someone who wanted to be the next Lannie Garrett, or even just make a career as a performer, what advice would you give? Obviously know more about music.
And I've often thought about coaching people, but what I see, being a singer is one thing, and that's a whole different talent. And you can go into the studio and knock people's socks off on a recording. But if you're going to sing live, to me, this is just my belief, is that there's more to it than just singing. So just all those little things, it's like talking to the audience or having the band play you off, just something as simple as doing a tag and then, the band playing. So you're not just like, well, bye everybody, and then you walk off stage. Just the subtle little things that you think about. If you go to a Red Rocks concert, I think you should do, even if you're in a small venue. And that would be my advice. And just do it. Just get up on stage and do it over and over and over. If you love it, just do it. Patty, I'll tell you one thing that I do. Are we ready to go? Because one thing that I did was, when there weren't any venues, I would knock on doors and ask restaurateurs. In the 80s, there were no venues, and not having a stage, you have to have a stage. I would knock on restaurateur doors and I'd say, after your restaurant closes down, if you give me this corner over here in the restaurant, you don't have to pay me, but I'll go and we'll charge a cover. And if people come, I'll keep the cover. And then if I prove myself and people are coming, then you can hire me. And I did that. I can't tell you how many times. I would create a stage from nothing. And that's how the Buffalo Company, I was there for 10 years, but that's how that got started. So that would be my advice, is sell yourself and find a corner in a restaurant.
And let's extrapolate from that. Wouldn't it be great? And I've talked about this with some of the Visit Denver people that gave you that award. If they would put live music in a lot of the 16th Street Mall restaurants, the downtown restaurants, bringing people back downtown, giving people a place to perform. Once we can safely do it, it would be great to turn this back into a music city.
Oh my God, we need that so bad. We need that so bad. There's so many talented people, and you've seen that with all the Zoom concerts that we've been doing, but and we've lost a couple of venues through this. So yeah, I hope that that happens. But like I said, if they're not there, knock on the door and create your own. You know, and especially restaurants need help. So you might be doing them a favor. Don't think that you don't have something to offer. You know.
No, it would be great. So I know we've got time for some more questions here, Karen, if you have any. But Lannie, I know one thing that came up. Is there a recording of the Symphony concert? Someone wants to know. And do you have other recordings?
No, there's no recording of the Symphony concert, and I'm probably very happy that there isn't. I recorded CDs. I don't know if people remember CDs, but they are these round things, and you put them in slots. And so I've got a garage full. If anybody wants any, I've got plenty of those sitting around. So, yeah.
And do you have anything online people can watch? Have you found YouTube videos?
You know what, Patty? Right before the pandemic, I took every single VHS tape of every show that I had ever done or television had ever done of me, and I put it on a hard drive. And then I was going to do a YouTube channel of everything, because I mean it's from the 70s on. And then the pandemic happened, and I'm not a tech person, but I'm going to be doing that just for posterity. And if nobody watches it, that's fine, but at least I'll have it for my godchild to watch, because she has no idea what I do. She just sees me in sweatpants and a hair bun. So
I think we can safely say, given the interest in this chat, that people would love to see that.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know if it happens. All right. Thank you.
Oh, the Music Hall of Fame will be reporting it. And here's Karen. Karen, do you have anything you want to ask us now?
Yes, we have a question from a participant about what is your favorite costume?
Oh my God. I love being Patsy Decline, and that was designed by Kevin Copenhaver over at the Denver Center. He's been basically my costume designer, and he made me, you can kind of see there's a Carmen Miranda hat right there, but all the hats that Kevin made me, and I love Lonnie Hands-On made me a Eiffel Tower hat that I've always loved wearing, but I loved opening my shows with hats. So I love costumes. I'm done.
Costumes?
This is not easy. It's like, this is not easy, like waiting and okay, your turn.
But because it's not like a normal Zoom. So when someone talks, all of a sudden the camera goes over. So it's a little different than a Zoom, but it's fun. And I would certainly encourage anyone who wants to come on, because don't we miss listening to the performers we love, sitting in a bar, maybe drinking an alcoholic beverage, and just really enjoying the talent you see out there in Denver.
Woohoo! Woo! This is how I've kept from touching my face during the pandemic. What do you think? It's a very good solution.
Any favorite wines you want to share with us? Do you go to that bar, the place around the corner?
What?
Do you go to that liquor store around the corner from, we both live at the edge of Lehigh.
My husband and I have not gone anywhere. We get everything delivered. He has been very, 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 very careful through this. So no, I have not been. I go for walks. That's about all I do. But he'll be vaccinated April 8th, and then I'll be anyway.
And I think you tell us where you're going. And in fact, one of the people on the show wants to know, where are some places you have visited as a semi-retired legend? Have you been traveling a lot until the last year?
My husband and I, our plan was to do a big trip every year. And see, after I was retired, we went to South Africa. That was incredible. I went on a girl trip with 6 women to Morocco, which was of a lifetime. That was incredible. Loved that. And then we went on a cruise to the British Isles. And And that was incredible. So yeah, we hopefully we'll start back up. But I think we'll be doing road trips for a while. You know, Colorado's pretty fantastic. And I'm hoping my friend Steve and Linda Schmidt will get their butts out to Colorado to visit me here. And then I'll hopefully go to Chicago to visit them. That's one of the first things on my list, is to go back to Chicago and see some friends.
Jonathan wants you to come to San Francisco.
Oh,
Maybe-
Jonathan is the best. Jonathan and Haya are my sort of newfound cousins. They're real cousins of mine that I met for the first time at my Aunt Jane's 100th birthday, and discovered I had all these fantastic, liberal, smart, groovy cousins and people in my family. I wasn't close to my family. And yes, Jonathan and Haya, yes, we will be definitely coming to see you, or you come back here. They're incredible. Yeah.
So going back to Chicago, you came here. What did you love about Denver from the start? The setting, the people, the fact that you could go out and sing?
You know, I thought I would come to Denver and get my, go to school and become a special ed teacher. I didn't think that being a singer was really a reality, even though that was burning in my heart. But I remember, I jumped out of an airplane here, and that was the bravest thing I had ever done. And I thought, if I can jump out of an airplane, I can start a new life and get away from my bad memories of my family and everything, get away. And the sky was blue, and Chicago isn't really known for blue skies, and the mountains were gorgeous, and there was no traffic. It just worked out perfectly for me. It just, from the start, worked out perfectly. It was the perfect choice for me.
I've got news for you, Lannie. There's been no traffic for the last year.
Yeah, I know. I have some pictures
There-
of the streets. It's starting back up again, though.
It's very like 1978. You can park anywhere. Okay, let's see. Kent is, are you interested in going back to Phoenix to another National Classic Car Club event?
Well, it's not just the National Car Club, it's the National Gay Car Club.
Oh.
And if it's the Kent, I think it's the Kent I'm thinking of, yes. And he hired me. I have done 2 gay car clubs, and Carefree, is that the town it was? I think it was Carefree, Arizona. It was so much fun. The people were so great, and it was Patsy Decline, and Patsy, you can make lots of jokes about cars, about lube and lug nuts, and I don't know, I can't think of anything car now, but I had so much fun, and they treated me like a princess. So hi, Kent, if you're out there, honey, it's so nice that you're here. Thank you.
Ken Schweiss, I think we can name
Yeah,
him.
that's him. Yeah, that's him. That's him.
You've had some great, great shows. The Cruise, although even that bad night, but this sounds like a blast, the Gay Car Club.
The Gay Car Club was one of the best gigs. Yeah, it was really fun. They treated me well, and some gorgeous cars. I'll tell you what, some gorgeous antique cars too, which is really fun.
Lannie, when you started out singing, did you model yourself? Was anyone an inspiration to you, someone you modeled yourself after? Because here in Denver, it's impossible to imagine. You are Lannie Garrett. You know, there are Lannie Garrett types out now. You are yourself. So were you following anyone?
Well, I grew up in the Ed Sullivan age, so I had
Topo Gigio?
So I got to go to school watching all those incredible performers. So I always liked the performers who really, really related to I loved Louis Armstrong. I loved Pearl Bailey. I loved Judy Garland. I loved Mick Jagger. I loved people that put themselves out there were always my inspirations, I would say. I guess Judy Garland, she just absolutely moved me, and I got what she was doing and the emotion that she put out there, and I absolutely adored her. So, and then when Barbra Streisand came on the scene when she was like 19, 20, the early Barbra Streisand, she really moved me, because for a woman to look like that and just make herself beautiful and not listen to what anybody said, and she became this beautiful, just creature, this beautiful creature. She was such an original, and that inspired me also. I know all the words to all her first 3 records.
We remember those. Karen, do you have anything else for us right now?
We have answered all the questions that have come through, Patty.
So if there are any more, so Lannie, what's your favorite song? And do you have a favorite song about Colorado?
I always loved that. Before I was a singer, I used to sing endlessly to Linda Ronstadt's Desperado. I can't remember if that was a Colorado song, but it was kind of, it reminds me of Colorado because it kind of came out when I first moved here. But my favorite song is a song that was written by Randy Newman. I don't have a favorite song, but if I had to pick one, it was written by Randy Newman and it was sung by Raul Malo, who actually was our wedding singer. And it was a song that Dan and I fell in love to, and it's called Feels Like Home. And you might want to look that up, people. It's just absolutely a beautiful song. So I would say that's the one that means the most to my heart, is that song.
Okay, and at the risk of dissing the Colorado Music Hall of Fame, maybe first inductee, you moved out here from Chicago in what, early 70s? What did you think about John Denver?
When John Denver first came out, I didn't appreciate him like I probably should have. I liked different kind of music. I like more rock and roll, and I liked funk. That's probably my favorite style of music: Earth, Wind, and Fire, and funk. But as I learned more about music and my ear got better, he's pretty incredible. And of course, Rocky Mountain High was definitely happening right when I moved here, so it meant something to me. But he grew on me, and now I think he's pretty amazing.
I mean, that was such a soundtrack for that time, and that was when people were just flooding Colorado. And I don't even think they were labeled transplants at the time, but maybe they were.
There were a lot of people from Chicago when I first moved here. Not a lot of people from Denver when I would say, "Where are you from?" And there are a lot of people moving here, so still happening.
A lot of people moving. Racine's Lee Goodfriend is from Chicago. So people who moved out here and wanted to love Denver, but just wanted to make it better. And Lannie, you certainly have. So thank you so much. And keep singing somewhere. Do you sing in the shower?
No, I don't. I used to sing all the time before I was an actual professional singer. I used to sing all the time, but no, my husband always makes fun of me because he said if I heard you sing around the house like you do, I never would have thought you were an actual singer. So.
Well, then it could be cruel to ask this, but one of your biggest fan on this webinar wants you to bless us with a few bars of the song from the movie Alfie. Do you know what that? Do you know what he's asking for?
I can't even imagine. I mean, I don't even remember the words, but let's see. What's it all about? Alfie, is it just for the moment we live? And I think I'm in the wrong key. Alfie. Anyway, something like that.
It's been a year. I think that's very good for a year. You got a bravo on that.
I wonder who was that Joe? Was that Joe? Who was that?
William.
Oh, William Thornburg. I bet that was from him. Oh, he's here. Oh, I love him. Oh, anyway, a little aside there.
That's all right. Anybody else want to say anything to Lannie? Because we're about to wrap up here. If you want your name out there, we can tell you later, Lannie, who's been putting notes in here.
That would be great. That'd be great. I just want to thank, if any of my girlfriends are on here, thank you for getting me through this year. Fanny, Honey, Adrian, Karen Rail, Karen Shander, Shelley Volkman, all my friends who've helped me so much get through this hard time. I can't thank you enough. So I hope you're there. Kevin Copenhaver, thank you. And
thank you for getting us through what, 45 years in Denver with your singing.
I thought it was 25, but that's okay. Whatever.
It feels like 5.
I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Okay, at that point, Karen, I think that is the sign that it's the sign off. Do you want to?
Yes, thank you, Lannie and Patty. That was awesome. And Lannie, I really enjoyed getting to know you better on this. I hope everyone else did as well. Thanks everyone for joining us. You know, if you haven't visited the Hall of Fame exhibit, We have an exhibit that features Lannie and her fellow inductees at the Red Rocks Trading Post. It's open every day from 10 to 5. It's free. So come visit us. And, if you'd like to be in the know about the upcoming Front Row and Center events that we have and other events and programming, please join us on social media, as well as signing up for our e-newsletter at cmhof.org. Thank you, Lannie and Patty. This was wonderful. And thank you all for joining us. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Lannie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.